This is an example of a photo that I talk about all the time, but don't often take. This is right in my own backyard. And sometimes you'll hear me say, oh, you don't have to go very far to get photos. You can just go right in your backyard. But how often do I actually do that myself? Not as often as I would like. And this is right in my backyard. And a while ago, maybe like 6 months ago, I had a picture of a cardinal, or a couple pictures of cardinals within a few weeks on Weekly 50. And this is like, I don't know, 3 feet away from where those cardinals were sitting. This is right next to the fence on my backyard. I was out in the backyard with my wife and my kids, and we're playing on a chilly fall afternoon. And I saw that there is this plant, I guess it was a small oak tree or something, with a couple leaves like this one here. And it just looked really cool to have these deep, rich yellows and reds with a splash of green against this kind of dull background. And I actually manipulated the photo just a little bit. There was originally 2 leaves on here. I plucked one off, and I hope that's okay. I'm not a huge fan of manipulating the scenes, but you know what? It's my yard, my tree, my camera. It's fine. I took one leaf off so I could focus on just the one leaf. And this is right front and center. Last week I talked about how sometimes I like photos where the subject is off center. I didn't do that here. I specifically wanted this to be the center of the frame. And I think because of the colors, I really just wanted to draw your eye into the colors and nothing else. The background is sort of like, the whole purpose of the background is just to create contrast with these colors. The one thing I'm not a huge fan of is on the right-hand side of the leaf, you'll notice it's a little out of focus, and there's really nothing I could do about that, at least given the time that I had. I didn't want to spend all day taking a picture of a dead leaf when my wife and my kids were out here and we were just trying to putz around and play with the kids. So I shot this at a couple different apertures, the usuals like 1.8, 2, 2.8, and then 4 and 5.6. And of course, the smaller apertures like 4 and 5.6, the whole leaf was in focus, but the background was just not doing it for me. And at 1.8, the leaf was really out of focus. The plane of focus was so narrow that it didn't look good. So this is my compromise. The leaf is shot at 2.8, and it's pretty sharp, mostly in focus, except for the very right-hand side and just a bit on the left. But the background is nice and blurry. And at 1.8, the background was really blurry, but the leaf was also blurry. So that's one thing that you have to keep in mind when you're making decisions about exposure. It's always an exercise in trade-offs. You can have a wide aperture, but you're going to get a shallow depth of field, and you're going to trade a little bit of sharpness. You can have a smaller aperture, but you're going to use a slower shutter speed. I mean, it's all about trade-offs when you're talking exposure and photography. And that's kind of the beauty of it too. It's fun to play around with those elements and really make the camera do what you want it to do to get the picture you want to take.